And we're live. We're up, up, up. We got volume. What do you know? Get in there. Morning. Okay, you know the deal. Good morning. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And to start every show, please, if you will, either click on the link or copy it and go to it. What? Okay, you're muted. Anyway, what I was saying, morning, Corey. If you want to go here and listen to Edwin Starr's War, that's it's the podcast opening tune, if you will. Morning. No promo. We just came in, got to work today. We're a few minutes behind when I want, but the good news is today's my day off. I ain't even supposed to be here today. Okay. I just I feel compelled, right? There are people out there that are deeply religious, right? And they're compelled by their faith in some deity. I am compelled by the power of great change and the necessity for great change. I wanted to point it out. I literally have it tattooed on me. Embrace change. I was like a all-American kid, right? I grew up as a multi-sport athlete, Boy Scouts, really good student. I knew I was going to college before I could drive. Kind of got to college, and within the first 90 days, I mean, we've talked about it for moment one. Within the first 90 days of being in college, not only did I walk onto the football team, but my roommate raped a girl and got kicked out of Purdue within before Labor Day. So I think anybody's life is going to greatly change, right? When you I had no expectation of playing sports in college. That wasn't the plan. Okay. I get to college. I had free time. I got in really good shape. And then all of a sudden, I'm being accepted, making friends with people that I thought that I would just see on TV. Jacques Reeves was a safety at Purdue, played for the New Orleans Saints. Nico Kudavides played middle linebacker. He was my nemesis. He fucking destroyed me. He's a middle linebacker. Played for the Patriots. He, one of my best friends, his name was Chris Lacey. I think he was Mr. Football in New Jersey in 1999, if you want to look that up. He's the one that taught me how to play poker. And I went all over the country and played poker with him. He was a trainer for the Yankees. He played football. He was a wide receiver, wide receiver at Purdue. So you know he's a really good athlete. But I think if I think about the power of great change, like I joined the Marine Corps on an open and contract with a stupid ass high ASVAB. I think I had like a 94 or 95. I literally could have done anything. And the jobs that I wanted to do in the military were not available when I enlisted. And again, I think about the power of great change. What a great change it is to go from the safety and security of being a athlete at the Division 1 level, where a lot of your time is being managed for you. A lot of what you're eating is being managed for you. All you got to do is show up and eat, lift, watch, listen, and do, right? Military's not all that different from that. So just in case anyone ever wonders, because there's this whole silent generation, right, where people serve and they never talk about it. All the more power to you. I had a fucking ball while I was on active duty. I was in the fucking infantry. We knew we were going to die, and we came to work with a smile on our face anyway. Fuck are you talking about? You know, they say there are no atheists in foxholes. I fucking digress. Some of us were fully awake, aware, and alive. For some, it was probably horrific. And I'd argue there is a very dark part of my time on active duty. And I am open to talk about that as well. One of the things that I've learned is that you cannot internalize your trauma. You have to have a therapist, a confidant. Many people go to religion. They give their they give their sins to God, right? They talk to their pastor. They confess. They're in a men's group. They're in AA. They're in substance abuse counseling, right? Many people deal with their issues without talking about them. I just happen to believe, like, not only should this generation, should the millennials born a the American Socialist Party. I am a millennial, but they should be a very public figure. Am a pretty goddamn public figure that does not have any problem talking about my time on active duty, unlike an entire generation of veterans, mostly because I had my fucking head on straight and knew exactly what the fuck was going on and am fully capable of talking about it. What the fuck are we talking about? That's one of the things that's always bothered me is like I've never had a conversation with another veteran about their or my time on active duty, front to back. I have been out of the military for almost 18 years now. I've had snippets of a conversation with somebody. But think about that. There's an entire generation of veterans that you'll never hear tell their side of the story, what happened while they were on active duty. I think they call them the silent generation, right? And if you want to see it, it's a spectacle, I think, on Reddit. There's our medals. and people just post dress uniform, and they're just like, look at all these medals. This is my uncle. This is my father. This is my brother. This is my grandfather. Look at all these medals. What did he do? Here's his redacted DD-214. What did he do? He never spoke on this. And I think that kind of feeds into whatever you decide to do in this life. You have to make sure that you can sleep at night and that you can actually talk about it. You cannot internalize your trauma. When I was in therapy in the VA, one of the things that my therapist told me um, is that the average age of males, white males, in therapy in the VA healthcare system is 68 years old when they start the program. So do you understand how, like, I fully empathize with the probably millions of people that served on active duty, that did all of the heroic things, that served for decades, that are due all the love and respect in the world, whose names you don't know. That's why they call them the forgotten generations, right? So if I can encourage anyone else out here, anyone else that's a veteran especially, to talk about your time on active duty. I need to know too. I need to hear how it was for you too. Cuz I know shit was rough, but not all of us were having a bad time. Not all of us. Yeah, Vietnam was a big one. They got no choice. Yeah, a lot anybody that was, can you imagine just fathom being fucking drafted? Can you like, by the time I was on active duty in the early 2000s, they were on rotations. Can you imagine, like, prior, not like pre Gulf War shit? Like, there are people that I've met, and I want to be wrong sometimes, that went on 2 deployments in a year to Vietnam. Like, they went, their unit got their ass kicked, they got recalled, they go back to the US, they get put in another unit, and that unit ships out before they had fucking rotations. And again, that's not to say that people don't unit hop all the fucking time. There are people that I met that were like an E5 in the military in their fourth unit, in their, they'd been to Iraq 3 times with 3 different units. They weren't in trouble, and they're not necessarily fucking warmongers either. There's just um sorry, I'm listening to Cranberries Zombies in my um some people survive, some people they thrive in an austere environment. Some people are more comfortable when your has to be tighter. You can't be, you certainly couldn't be doing what I'm doing, I don't think, on active duty. I'm sure somebody's doing something close to that, right? Like monitoring the news, trying to keep a tabs on things that are actually happening in the world. I think it should absolutely exist. So if my podcast, if there are people that are veterans, whether you feel like fucking talking about your time in active duty or not, like hit me up. Tell me about your time on active duty. I want to know. You know, if you don't want to talk about it publicly or Jerry said, "How's the new job?" Outstanding. So hey, every job I've ever had, and again, you don't want to give me an opportunity to talk shit, okay? I doesn't matter what I do in terms of labor for about the last 15 years. I You teach me your fucking process and I will perfect that shit. That's where we are 1 month in. Like I am the best closer on my team. I close more than 51% of my deals. And keep this in mind, kids. I started off 1 for fucking 7. So I started off real rough because you're a new guy. But since starting off 1 for 7, I'm like 17 for 27, which is so far above board, it's not funny. Understand 35% is the expected close rate. Do you understand? Does anybody like math? Does anybody else want to go on a little math adventure and be like, wait, how badass is this motherfucker? This motherfucker walked in the door 1 for 7, couldn't close an open goddamn door. Full disclosure, couldn't do it. Since then, I'm 17 for 20. What did I say? 27? Yeah, that's 63%. They expect you to close at 35%. And I don't have cancel. I don't have cancels. That's the other thing. Like when I worked in sales for 5 years, helping people get ADT home security installed in their house. When I left the company, I was fourth all time in installs and I wasn't a technician. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm like really good friends with the number one overall. It's a woman, it's a girl, also a millennial. Um, but when I left that company, we kicked ass and took names. They had to fly me all over the motherfucking place to celebrate my awesomeness. Okay. Um, After I left Defenders, got an opportunity to start my own business. And so my wife hates me. That's my wife's least favorite part of our marriage was when I had no boss and money and needed to find some shit out because I just go, let's fucking go there. And so for a while, I was in the business development, market research, find a location, find funding, find what your company's ethos are gonna be, what your impetus is gonna be, like what are you gonna be really fucking good at? And for the record, I know everybody's like, what is this person talking about? I wanted to open a coffee shop so that maybe my wife would work in the same business as me. And then I wanted to run a card shop. Think like a Magic the Gathering. That's my game. Um, Shop. And one of the niches outside of world class coffee, that was going to be our impetus. That was going to be our absolutely crush everybody mentality. Like my wife and I spent a week in Oregon to learn how to make Gold Coast award winning coffee from the people that are importing it from like South America. Caravan Coffee, in case you wondered, they're outstanding. Newberg, Oregon. What happened was long story short, I had been talking about for a while that the problem that I had, and again, this is just my opinion. The problem that I had is the people that own these businesses don't love the game. It's like being a basketball coach and you don't love the game, right? It's like, it's like being a football coach and you don't love the game, right? Like, what the fuck are we doing, right? So I had just been opining that I want somebody with the same level of knowledge of magic as me. And if you don't, and I hate to be like that, and it's like if you aren't on my level, why are you the owner? Like, you don't even care about this shit. Sure, you can do all the business stuff. All that can be learned. I can learn all that. But why didn't you learn this game? Why didn't you care about this game? And then what ends up happening, for the record, most shop owners own a shop before they love the game. And what happens is they fall in love with the game and their shop collapses because they knew business development, but they didn't know Magic the Gathering. And for the record, if you haven't found Magic the Gathering yet, you're welcome. You're just welcome before you ever before you ever touch paint, baby. You're welcome. 100%. If you like I grew up playing card games, okay? When I was 5 years old, the German Baptists taught me how to play poker. They lied to my mom and said they were teaching me how to play Old Maid. But I learned how to play card games and gamble and shit long before I ever should have. From people that you would have never thought the Denlingers were gonna teach me fucking uh poker, how to play stud and fucking pick up and fucking, you know what I mean? This is before Texas Hold'em. So what were their questions? I wasn't even paying attention to chat. I was trying not to get my channel banned, so I figured I'd talk about. Jerry asked how the new job is. I said outstanding. Is Trump good for vets and how? Fucking no. What? No. So who is good? Anybody that's not trying to cut off health care for veterans or hey Angel. Morning's going great, man. How are you doing? So yeah, I went to start my own business and then COVID hit. And then for the record, you're all fucking welcome that I didn't move forward with our business plan. See, what we had to do was, and this is what would have happened, COVID hit though. I was going to buy a location in Broad Ripple, Indianapolis, Broad Ripple, Castleton, Catmore, Castleton. No, it's in Broad Ripple. Um, I was gonna buy that and have that be the headquarters, most central. Okay. And then we had a discussion with Family Video Realty. And I don't know if you know this, but Family Video, and then again, this could have changed. This was before COVID hit. Family Video owned its 450 locations. And our initial idea was get into a space, get going, and then present this. Family Videos trying to get the fuck out. They've got all these locations built out. 200 and some of them have drive-throughs, right? You're looking at somebody who is playing the capitalist game and on the verge of fucking winning too. At the expense of what? Is the question that you always have to ask yourself. I'm at my heart a risk manager. I often think about stupid shit that doesn't make any sense, like the butterfly effect, right? The idea that the decisions you make in this life echo for an eternity, right? This is just fucking true. If I had gone through with my plan, a lot of people don't make it. And it's because in order for that business to have functioned, it needed people in it in a time when businesses could not have people in it. And for the record, since that time, it's been shown that like this shit is forever. COVID and the fucking flu and fucking bird flu and all these fucking these airborne fucking viruses and shit. Hell no. Not in a million fucking years did I ever think for 5 seconds about doing it anyway, despite its ability to probably make me a whole lot of money. And how do I know? How do I know I would have made a lot of money? Because one of my really close friends that helped me in the business development part of that business took over a shop, doesn't serve coffee, and personally, with the company being in a very healthy financial position, made $1 million in 1 year. 1 year. So imagine what we could have done serving world class coffee and having that as like your staple. That's what people come here for. These fucking nerds can spin. Like they can literally make you a banging ass cup of ass coffee. And because it just doesn't go with the sort of Magic player vibe where Magic players are like dirty and stinky and shit, I think it flips the whole thing on its head. Because now, once you've had like coffee from the Gold Coast or like California coffee, or I'm just saying it, sunshine's different out there. Now it's awful smoky flavored. Wonder how that would affect coffee. Has the coffee, because I know they grow coffee and wine. I wonder how the fires have impacted coffee and wine in in Cali. Hmm. Anyway, good to see everybody this morning. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, Zeke, if done correctly, they do Pokemon, they do Magic the Gathering, they have events most days of the week, and the shop has a lot of shit to buy otherwise, but comic books are their niche. So where they make 80% of their money, that's standby every day comic books. So for the record, what have I learned? Don't shy away from comic books. That's cash money. That pays your fucking rent every fucking month. Comic books are an incredible source of revenue. hmm See, I'm a gamer that's spent a lot of time and money and energy and given a lot of love to escapism as a construct. Um, One of the things that I've had to learn to do is disassociate, right? And it's very difficult to do. One of the things that I've heard, one of the things that I've heard is that I sound like a Marine from other people that have served and other Marines. Like you even sound like a Marine now. Um, there's just some you can't. It, for some people, once you get it on you, you can't get it off you. You gotta go. Um, so in true spirit of the show, remember where we are right now is in a fuck target mode. So hey, I hope this ain't the first time you've heard it. Make sure you check out our Protest Finder USA R50501 for details on upcoming professional testing opportunities. I'm hoping you're catching the code switch. I'm trying to do as little as possible of that because I'm a goddamn adult and I don't need to be restricted in my free speech by any platform. However, comma, it has an impact on the people that you're close with when you can't keep a show live on a platform because you can't play within their rules. And I'm also not willing to try to build up an alternate channel. I'm not trying to do all that. I'm trying to figure out how can I play the game and do what I need to do and get the point across I need to get a point across without getting fired, right? Without continually getting bumped off the platform. Okay. So we're in the middle of a 40 days of fuck target. Good to go. And then so where we are now is in I believe day 3 of no Nestle. A no Nestle. So good luck with that, by the way. Fortunately for me, for the record, my wife and I, we are. This is not an ad. I'm not being paid. That's a damn shame. Um, we switched to Factor. And if anybody wants to know how's Factor, just add a little salt and it's good. Because otherwise it's like dietitian approved. None of the food is fucking salted. Everything's a fucking goulash anyway, so you can just mix it all together. Cut up the portions of meat, mix it all together into a goulash, you got you a meal. I would just tell you to add a little salt and just a skosh. Um, and Factor for the money, like $8 a meal, pretty tough to beat. You could pay a little more and get HelloFresh. But with my wife and I not on the same schedule, it's important that we have a a good, 500 plus calorie meal at our fingertips that isn't ass. You know what I'm saying? Most people would just eat like microwave dinners and shit, and this is a step up from that. One, you put it in your fridge. Two, it's all fresh ingredients. And three, it fucking tastes good. It just might not have as much flavor as you like. And you're probably going to need to put a little salt on that. Don't oversalt your food. I'm not trying to have anybody muerte, but I'm thinking about you. Okay. So yeah, good luck not using Nestle, right? And the reason I say that is Nestle owns fucking everything. Um, Fortunately for my wife and I, we drink Tim Hortons coffee and we use Planet Oat creamer, and otherwise we eat Factor meals. So we ain't participating in this game. Water out the tap, right? Maybe a little Crystal Light. You know what I'm saying? But we're in a 1 week. Just try for 1 week to go without Nestle. Um, that's where we are, sort of in our product boycott. Remember, we're trying to get away from Amazon, Nestle, Walmart, Target, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Airbnb, Home Depot, U-Haul, Planet Fitness. Okay, that's sort of a bare minimum. But of course, my recommendation: get off of Facebook, Threads, IG, Messenger, WhatsApp. Get Twitter off your phone. Uh, a good piece of advice I saw from another creator is use Amazon as a search engine only. That's really good. Use Amazon to find the item that you need and then go somewhere else to buy it. Go to Lowe's or Home Depot to buy all that shit. Find it on Amazon. So you can find exactly what you're looking for, because Amazon's really good for that. Really, Amazon will help you find what you're looking for. Their algorithm is fucking great. Okay? But at what cost? Muerte? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had to think of something to replace that word that was just straight up getting us banned, right? And what's funny is like, even though it's functionally the same thing, I think, yeah, when you're using your Amazon as a search engine to find what you're looking for. and then go to that seller and see if you can go to their website. One of the things that I've learned in doing this myself is the seller on Amazon is increasing the price of their object because there's fees associated. So when you go to the seller themselves and you buy directly from them, typically I've paid less. I just want to throw it out there because I know there's a lot of people that are a little iffy on should I fucking do this, or is like am I pricing myself out of shit by going to the source? And typically fucking no. Okay? I'm a big proponent of support local businesses, but especially at this time, right? You really gotta stop using these big tech companies' products that have made your life fucking easy and start doing the hard shit. Start going to small businesses and supporting small businesses in your community, specifically ones that are owned by people of color. Mhm. For the record, I'm blessed in that a guy I worked with for years that was a Spanish speaking agent, he had the same job as me. Uh, a local Mexican restaurant owner got fucking deported. This was years ago. Apparently, he wasn't here legally. And he got to own a Mexican restaurant on the cheap. And he had always wanted to run a restaurant. And it's right by my house. He's from fucking Oaxaca. You know what I mean? He's done so good that he opened a breakfast spot in the same plaza that's not even connected to the Mexican restaurant. It's like completely different aesthetic and vibe and everything. It's like I think it's called Mornings. You like go there for breakfast and mimosas, which for the record, one of the things that I've learned is that in America we have alcoholism. In Mexico we have tequila for breakfast. So I'm just throwing this out there so that everybody else knows. In America, we can't handle our liquor. In Mexico, they have tequila for breakfast. I'm just throwing that out there. Y'all might call it margaritas or whatever you want to call it, okay? To spice it up. Yeah. But anyway, so there are two restaurants within a few minutes of my house that serve that are owned by someone that doesn't look like me, who for the record, he's a legal U.S. citizen, has been. That's actually from Oaxaca. And for the record, he's owned multiple restaurants now in Indianapolis. He's a public figure in terms of the culinary space in Indianapolis. And I hung out with him and his wife in Mexico when we went there. We went to Cancun and Playa del Carmen, and we went to Cenotes, and we went to an outdoor amusement park, which was like the coolest fucking thing ever. And one thing I've learned also, having gone internationally to an amusement park, we don't move enough in the United States. We don't get out there and move. Which I'm guilty of too, of being fucking frozen. It is kind of funny though. In America, we have alcoholism. In Mexico, they have tequila for breakfast. Ask me how I know. So yeah, looking good, everybody. 30 plus in the combined spaces. And again, make sure you're getting 8 hours of sleep a night. You probably need to take a nap. Drink water. You should eat right. If you're gonna do all that shit, you should exercise too. For most people, it starts with movement. Hey, whatever starts as a walk, don't let it stay a walk. Turn that walk into a run. Turn that walk into a jog. Turn that jog into a run. Probably no more than a few miles at your very best. You heard me. You're going to start with a walk. I said don't let your walk stay a walk. It's going to turn into a jog. Don't let it stay a jog. At some point, stretch your legs out. I promise you. If you pair that with a lift at the opposite part of the day. So if you want to go in the morning and lift weights, great. If you need help, my recommendation is Renaissance Periodization, who is another YouTuber. His name is Dr. Mike Israetel. Here's how I feel about that. When it comes to things that I don't have a fucking PhD in, I'm going to someone that has a PhD and I'm gonna let them tell me about the shit that I'm interested in. Why? Because they got a fucking PhD, doggy. You don't get there spitting bullshit. You have to know your subject matter. And one of the things that I learned from somebody who is just an incredible athlete themselves, he's a little guy, but he's an incredible athlete himself, surrounds himself with like incredible athletes, and then uses their science, okay, to turn out some fucking freaks. And as a 40-year-old former athlete, I could tell you that his thoughts on programming, and I'm talking about in the weight room, no more than 5 or 6 exercises a day, no more than 5 sets per exercise, no more than 10 reps per set. So you heard what I said. That's out of his mouth. No more than 5 or 6 exercises a day. No more than 5 sets per exercise. No more than 10 reps per set. And you got to write it all down. You write down how much you did, how many reps you did. You got to notice when you're doing your sets. When did you start struggling? You know? If you're not pushing yourself, in my opinion, if you're not pushing yourself and you're not doing as much as you could do, you will get through the first 3 sets and you will face no resistance. It will just feel like going through the motions. I think if you're pushing yourself about halfway through the third set, you should feel some fatigue, and that's because you're pushing yourself. And the fourth and fifth sets should be difficult. And the next time you lift, you should put on whatever the minimum is. 5 pounds is usually it. And every time you lift and do the same exercises, you can go back to where you wrote it down, see what you did before, right? Track your progress, do it yourself. You know, if you and again, you got to understand I'm in a process of trying to be a football coach. So part of my content's going to sound an awful lot like, "Hey, this is shit kids need to hear." No shit, right? On the off chance they hear it. And I promise you, if you're lifting like I just told you, and your movement pattern follows what I just said. Athletically, you have no peak. You just keep going, just keep getting better. Look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady runs a faster 40 now than when he was drafted. He's a better athlete than he was coming out of high school at 20 plus years later. Look at LeBron James. 40 plus, balling out of control. And by the way, look at Bronny Jr. out there balling out of control. Yeah, look at us. Oh, you checked out Dr. Mike? Yeah. He's got kind of an interesting personality. He's not a bad time. Yeah, he has the RP app. Pretty goddamn good. And it's like 30 bucks a month to subscribe. Again, I don't work for him. This ain't an ad. And that's ultimately where you're trying to get is to the paid version of the app. So you can put in your macros and you can also put in your weightlifting and shit, and it can program you, get you on a program. The thing about it is, if you don't get into it when you're young, you'll never be able to play college sports because this is the first thing they're going to do when you get there. Put you on a program. You need to gain weight, you need to get stronger. How the fuck you going to do that if they don't have control of your macros? If they don't tell you what calories you're intaking and shit. And remember I said this, more structure the better, right? The more structure the better. The tighter the constraints are on your athletes, the better. That's why I use education. That's why I use be smart. Be a smart person. Don't just be a drone. If I needed robots, I go get robots. If I wanted to buy players, right? If I just buy players, I just go out and start recruiting. It's totally legal to do it. Motherfuckers do it a lot. I won't need to do that. How I treat my players makes other people want to play with me. Let me tell you a little story. I often do not get to do this, so if you're hearing it and you're like, what a cocky fuck, man, I'm just telling you a real story. Um, so I coached semi-pro football, adults. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. In case you wondered how it turned out, many of the people that I coached, I was friends with for years after that. One of whom I'm very close with, who's the center. His name is Seth. He played semi-pro football for the same team for 15 years. He's probably one of the most consistent human beings you'll ever meet, and is the literal rock of another football program. Got into coaching, is going back to school. Probably, I'd argue, probably because of me. Here you go. So, long story short, what happened was because people are going to ask, how the fuck did you get into coaching football? I'll tell you. So, what happened was, I've been involved with football my whole life. So let me give you my football background. I'll try to do it fast because that's not the story I'm trying to tell today. So I grew up on watching football on Saturdays instead of cartoons, right? Or flipping from more like I watch cartoons in the morning and then flip it over and watch the noon game. Okay. So I personally not this isn't no my dad shoved it down my throat, none of that shit. In fact, I fought my parents growing up being like, "Oh, I want to watch this game." And then being like, "Go watch it in the other room." Like on a little TV? Damn. I'm older, I'm an adult, I'm still trying to watch a game. I'm still trying to watch I just haven't. Okay? Mostly a financial decision. But we got rid of cable. Got rid of YouTube TV too, because it went up. It went up to $85 a month. Fuck, that's a cable bill. If I want a cable bill, I'll just get cable. So, grew up in love with the NFL, college football. Played football first when I was in third grade. Okay, so I was 9. That's like 30 years ago and change. I was a big kid. I weighed 135 pounds in third grade. So I couldn't play against other kids my age. I actually had to play up. So I had to play with sixth graders when I was in third grade. I got my ass kicked. Let's not make any mistakes about this. Um, fucking noise. Um, played football from third grade through high school. So that's like what, like and yeah, 9 8 9 years. Then go to college and walk on. Played quarterback. Came back as a tight end in year two. I think I played like 9 plays, and then left the program. Joined the ski and snowboard club. Played club volleyball. Like I said, I moved on from the football program. Not, and it wasn't no beef. Is shit. I just got tired of being tired and hurt all the time. So for the record, there are people like, "Oh, you live in Indianapolis. How do you feel about Andrew Luck?" Andrew Luck. I fucking empathize. A great deal, a great fucking deal with him. What are we talking about? Um, and then within 6 months of leaving no, with about 18 months of leaving a football program, I was on active duty in the Marine Corps and lost 100 pounds. While I was on active duty, I got picked up to play football. So I played a full season of football while I was on active duty. I played quarterback. We won every game. I had my number one receiver, his name was Brandon O'Brien, had played receiver, white boy, at the University of Kentucky, and he was from Florida. So when your number one receiver is like a Division One level athlete receiver on active duty, and I have any brains at all, I'm putting the ball in his hands. Um, so after I left the Marine Corps and I came home, I got into flag football. Um, played flag football for years. Played in a league in Lucas Oil Stadium. And about a decade ago, 2010, 2011, so it was a few years after I'd come home from the Marine Corps, I met one of my best friends now. His name's Brett Mock. Brett Mock is a lawyer by training, and he works as a financial advisor by trade. And he's also a high school football coach. You see how that works? Um, he works for a program in Muncie. So Brett and I got together. We lived together. Been friends for years. He started Coltzilla, and I can't remember the other websites, but there was like 3 websites that Brett was basically the brainchild of. I was just lucky that to have a friend, and so without having to like go work for someone we didn't know, I created content and wrote for Brett. And we did that for years on our own as complete amateurs. And so as I kind of transitioned out of being an athlete, like 35 plus ish, I was picking up a sports journalism career. And in 2015 or 2016, Brett got an offer to be the editor in chief at Stampede Blue, which is over my shoulder. And for 6 seasons, I got paid by Vox Media on contract to cover the Indianapolis Colts for Stampede Blue. I had a podcast, a weekly podcast. Um, I made a weekly video after every game. That's what you can see on my YouTube channel if you go backwards. Is you see all the content on the Colts. Um, long story short, what happened was the Colts, if you remember a few years ago, had Philip Rivers, and Frank Reich was the head coach. And they go to the playoffs and they're playing in Buffalo. And it was like the first time I can remember in a long time that I wasn't already drunk when the game started. I'd stopped drinking. And so because normally it's like a party when you go to the playoffs. What are we talking about? It's like a fun time. So for like the first time, I was very sober watching the game, very intently. And as someone that have played the game and loved the game, I mean, if I sit and think about what I've spent most of my life doing, playing football, talking about football, writing about football, and basically I watched the Indianapolis Colts piss away a playoff game. And in my opinion, they lost the game by 3 points, but they should have won it by nine and more. They should have won the game by like 4 possessions. They absolutely should have blown Buffalo out, and they fucking lost. And it was because of Frank Reich's and ultimately the offense's decision making when they were in scoring position at multiple times during the game. They either went for it or they didn't convert. And again, that's on when you win, it's because of the players. When you lose, it's because of the coaching. So, for the record, like I had no aspirations to coach up until this point. Because again, as somebody who played the game and wrote about the game and talked about the game all the fucking time, at some point I think you get lost in how effective good coaching can be. I think you get caught up in it being like entertainment or a byproduct of talent, and that there's not a lot a coach can do to impact win or loss up until that game. And again, for the first time, completely sober, standing up the whole game, watching every play intently, every motion and shift, every decision, and really dissecting it. It's called breaking down film. Very winnable game. Should have won that game, and it changes the trajectory of the Colts completely. In the wake of losing Andrew Luck, they were able to get Philip Rivers in here. He wins a couple playoff games. The vibes are good for years. Instead, they lose that game, and we've struggled to try to replace um, Andrew Luck since. All the hope in the world for Anthony Richardson to step up and be that. He just got to make it through a season relatively unscathed. And for the record, because of the vulnerability at quarterback that the Colts have had over the last decade plus. If you think about Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, and now Anthony Richardson, what do they have in common? Injuries. Actually, it's very difficult to protect your quarterback. I've been saying forever that defensive ends and pass rushers have gotten more and more athletic, and they've gotten longer and longer, and offensive tackles have not. They have not also gotten more athletic and gotten longer, and more suited for the battle of the modern pass rush battle. And so what happened was in the wake of that playoff game, I posted on social media that I got to get into coaching football. There's there's too much that happens between the whistles, I mean between the buzzers, the beginning and the end. Um, I want to get involved in that. And a guy I'd worked with was a semi-pro football coach, and he hit me up and said, "I need your help." And I found out that he was the head coach of a semi-pro football team pretty much by himself. He had a couple people as helpers, but he didn't have any other coaches. And they didn't really have an offense. And so I was the quarterback coach. I became the offensive coordinator. And ultimately, in the second game, he had a fucking mental breakdown, and I basically took over as the primary play caller and offensive coordinator, and we went undefeated. We beat teams that they'd never beaten before. and one of the teams came and played us, and after it was over, the team we played disbanded and their entire team joined our team. And one of the players said, "It's because of that guy right there." And he just pointed at me. And he just said, "It's just the way he communicates with other people. He was moving people around, conducting, doing it, and we won. And we won." Um, Now they were shorthanded. They were on the verge of collapse anyway. And me being there pushed them over the edge, and we gained people. That doesn't fucking happen. Men are very proud. But in that moment after a football game, it's think about being in a battle, right? You're in a battle with someone, right? And you bring what you got, they bring what they got, and you beat their ass. And they're licking their wounds. And instead of running back home, took off their fucking hat and said, "Give me one of your hats, I'll fight for you." So if you ask me up front in the first right off rip, did I already know? Yeah, I already knew. I knew the first few months I was a coach. My quarterback got an offer to play professionally. He got sacked one time. He got hit like 5 times the whole season. We beat their rivals that they hadn't beaten years. And then I coached high school football. And now I'm here in the spot where I'm applying to be I have interviewed to be a head high school football coach, which ultimately would require my wife and I to sell our house and move, right? So there's a reason why I'm sitting here talking about it, right? One thing you got to do is toot your fucking horn. You got to know how you toot your fucking horn. But it got to be like worth it. So what I'm hoping I can do is get a job as a high school football head coach and pull people to the community. Come live in this community where I'm gonna run the high school football program. My goal, keep this in mind, when I interview for this high school football head coaching job, we didn't talk about money. So keep this in mind. I don't know if I'll get the job, but I wasn't even thinking about what they were gonna pay me. That doesn't have a fucking thing to do with why I would take the job, why I would move across the state. Had nothing to do with what you're gonna do for me. Like my goal is to have so much money in the football program that I can go to the AD and say, "Hey, what's the budget for the athletic department?" "Oh, couple 100,000. Here's a couple 100,000. Let's make sure that's taken care of. I want these kids in good looking fucking uniforms and cleats and running shoes and all that shit. I want the cheerleaders shit looking tough. I want all new marching band shit. I want marching band looking tough. If you need better instructors, let's get them in here. These kids deserve it." And fucking build a community, right? I got a job opportunity I couldn't pass up, and it affected my education, what I want to do with my education. Ultimately, what it forced me to do is say, what do you actually need a degree in to further do what I want to do? And I think right now it's political science, and I don't know when I'll be going back. Maybe if it's required or something. Like if I get a job at the college level, somebody comes along and says, "Oh, you're running a high school football program better than college coaches run." Yeah, yeah, I do. It's because I understand. I was in that environment. I can pare that down and bring it to high school kids where it's not so crazy. Hey, woman. Yeah, make sure while you're here you like, subscribe, share this, tell your cousin, sister, brother, friend, mom, dad. It's been a while. We did get fucking banned. So we're not necessarily playing a different tune, just chatting it up about bullshit. It is Sunday. News gonna be kind of hmm, this is interesting. Japan, South Korea, and China meet as Trump upends old alliances. Good morning. Oh, hey, I was gonna say, um, what I've done more than play it in real life, talk about it, write about it, coach it. I'm a video gamer, and have been since I was playing the Atari 2600 in my parents' basement when I was like 5. They came out with this video game in the late 90s called NCAA Football, and they made an annual copy of that game until 2014. So for like 17 years of my life, every summer, NCAA football. And I cannot tell you how many hundreds of thousands of hours I have playing NCAA football as the head coach. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of games calling offense, defense, and special teams as a fucking hobby, as just something to do. Just so when you talk about like prepared, like what am I actually built for? Being on the field of battle, calling the plays, cheering on the players, right? Here's a protest in Seattle. Morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, we've been going for over an hour already. We were a little late this morning. Mod squad. Sorry, Brittany OCL has been phenomenal. Yeah, 34,000. Oh, I thought this was interesting. There was a Luigi event. How about former U.S. Attorney for Eastern District of Virginia, Jessica Aber, found dead at 43. I wonder what Jessica Aber was doing. Oh, she was investigating Russian nationals. That's super interesting. That's super interesting. That's, hey, that smells awfully Russian, doesn't it? Doesn't that seem awfully? Don't they fall out of windows a lot in Moscow? Isn't that like a thing? Those windowsills are super alluring and then apparently slippery, and motherfuckers just dive out them shits. Yeah, it's a problem. You guys didn't know this? Hey, there's like 25 people here in TikTok land. If y'all would go up to my profile and make sure that you subscribe. Also, click the link, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe. Once we get to 2,000 subscribers, I'm at like 1970 now. I'll stream myself playing video games. I play Path of Exile and listen to music. It's probably more watchable than what a lot of people do. Well, it only says there's 23. It actually says we're losing people. Wasn't she an attorney for Biden? Yeah, and she also I posted the link in the chat, CC. Those windows and balconies are like magnets. I know. It's crazy. I could never go on vacation there. Apparently, like a swift wind and you're just a casualty. Wild. Like JFK Russia. What Carolyn Quinn say? Carolyn Quinn just added me. Fantastic. Thanks. Gosh, Protest Finder USA's got all kinds of videos from people protesting Elon Musk. She did commit her own muerte. No, 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 no. She did not. She was investigate. She was appointed by Biden. Okay. She was actually recommended to be a senator, right? Yeah, I give you the links. One thing we don't do is pejorative here. Everything's coming from a news story. Yeah. And I posted the other link to the databreaches.net where she was investigating. Ah, ah, drop dead, huh? Just fell out of a window, huh? You do say. That's interesting. I do say. Hmm. A coincidence. Go figure. And notice. Oh, you know what my wife did? I figured you guys would appreciate this. My wife changed her paycheck at work so she's not paying federal taxes. Yeah, that's great. I need to do it. But yeah, thanks for being here. Been going about an hour and 15, 75 minutes. Election is in 1 week. I just want to point out, right? Like there's 3 elections, right? Hey, I have a feeling I know what it is. I have a feeling I know what it is. And I think we talked about it. But look, we talked about it before. My live got banned for it. So think about if you can remember this or not, friends. What does Vladimir Putin have on Donald Trump? And what did Jared talk about that they took down my content? They banned my live? What? They changed the title to my fucking YouTube video and took it down? What did we talk about that I told you that I saw this TikTok video? The guy is like standing outside and he's clearly looking around, but he can name names and when it happened and how old they were and how much the settlement was for. And remember what was it? Because here's the thing. It isn't grape of women for everyone that in your brain you're like, oh, 26, 27 women or the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, right? Somebody out there. Yeah, 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 that makes sense, Jared. Like, nah, it's the Epstein stuff. It's the names of the victims. That's what it is. You're gonna be upset when I tell you. Like it's not the end of the show, but it's at the end of the show for a reason. What? Because I knew it was coming out because I'd seen where it was I'm trying to remember who asked. What does Putin have on Trump? I know what it is. Do you know what it is? There's a list of little boys. Uh Millions of dollars each. All 14 and under? Not all of the lewd acts were sexual, schmexual. Some of them TikTok shop, TikTok shop, TikTok shop. Some of them were cruelty. If you're shocked, if you're shocked at someone who was accused of being a racist landlord, including you need to look up the Central Park Five. You need to know that in the 80s, Donald Trump paid $250,000 to 4 different newspapers to try to get 5 black teenage boys the fucking death penalty for a crime they didn't goddamn commit. They never backtracked on that. And those boys did an average of 7 years in prison. One of them did 20 for a crime they didn't fucking commit. And then you've known that he didn't pay his people. You know he didn't pay his own employees. If you ever went to one of his casinos, you know they're run down as fuck, breaking every fucking OSHA regulation ever. I'm surprised. I'm surprised having been in Trump Gary, Trump Atlantic City, Trump Vegas, having been in those places, I'm surprised they ain't been condemned. So if you knew about Central Park 5, right? If you knew that was known as a racist landlord, right? You knew about all these women, like 27. But I'm telling you, and you know how I know? I have observed how men have reacted when I've said that for the last few years. And I've never, ever in my life been more confident that something was true based on the way men reacted to defend Donald Trump. There's a list, double digits. If I remember correctly, it was like 13 boys under the age of 14 years old. Not all of the lewd acts were sexual. Some of them were just cruel, in addition to being lewd and schmexual. And I'd argue of all the things that you know for a fact about Donald Trump, because it's been all over the motherfucking media, that's the one thing. What is the one thing? I mean, he told you he could literally kill someone on Fifth Avenue. A schmurder, TikTok shop. He could literally end someone on Fifth Avenue and no one would say a word, right? He said that. How many of those 13 boys that he had to pay millions of dollars to, how many of them are famous? Because you know what I could remember from that list of people? I recognized a few of the names. And I was like, "Oh, I'll never see that fucking video again. No one will ever write an article about that. That will never hit mainstream media. And I be goddamn." So you ask me, what do what does Putin have on Donald? And all I would ask you is, at this point, what is there that he could have done that we don't know about that they're trying to keep from us? What 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 has Donald Trump worked the hardest to keep from coming to light? I think it's the fact that he not only raped a bunch of little boys, he also tortured them schmexually and got away with it and paid their families millions of fucking dollars. The goddamn Epstein files. Why do you think they're like fucking with them and like redacting shit and trying to doctor it up? You want to know why? Because a lot of the people in US politics over the last 30 plus years, Donald Trump has been a multi-millionaire donor to the Democratic Party, into the 35 million last I checked, including giving millions to Hillary Clinton and then beating her in an election. Just want to point that out. Should have been Bernie Sanders. Throwing that out there. Exactly, Kat. And there's so many men in positions of power that are just like Donald Trump. And so, one of the things that I know, as a matter of just reading, there's also a list of girls. It wasn't just women, man. It's little girls too. It's little boys, and I think that's what ultimately they're keeping from the public are the names of all those boys and girls that Donald Trump did horrible shit to. Not and again, I'm not saying like if it was sexual it was fun. I'm saying there are boys and girls that he committed lewd acts of cruelty to. It's not just sex and there's some modicum of pleasure here. That's not, no. He literally tortured someone's child and then paid off their parents to keep them quiet. And whenever I've seen the list of names, I recognize some of them. That maybe not who be what their name is now, but and again, it's one of those fleeting things about Donald Trump that you find out, you see on the internet, and you're like, there's the list of boys, there's the list of girls. Oh, look, they're all under fucking 15 years old. Donald Trump has a fucking track record of 30, 40 under the age of 15. I've seen the list of boys, I've seen the list of girls. That shit is fleeting. Meaning it gets fucking deleted off the fucking internet. Every time somebody puts together a document and gets together how much he paid them, how much he settled for. Somebody said he had a weird relationship with Ivana. Yeah, yeah. I mean, think about what has Donald Trump done that you don't know for a fact that he's done. I'm sitting here telling you what it is that you don't know. Because you know the women. There's been people identified as his victims. But you can't name one little boy or girl that he has paid off their family after he committed a lewd act. You don't know any of those people's fucking names. Oh, I think he's something to do with his wife's death too? Sure. Epstein's death? Why do you think Jeff Epstein died? Why isn't Jeffrey Epstein alive? Never mind that he's a fucking terrible person and I'm not wishing for him to be alive. Just before everybody's like, why the fuck do you want him alive? Because he was a material witness to Donald Trump being a serial child molester. That's all, folks. That's the show. It's just true. Think about all the things that you already know that he did, that you know for a fact he did. Central Park 5, racist landlord, 27 women, is it? What do you not know for a fact? Well, can you not name them? Exactly. Go do some research today. See if you can find a list of people under 15 years old, boys and girls, that Donald Trump has had to settle with, not just for, yeah, all that projecting that the right does about pedos and groomers and shit. They've scrubbed the internet. Again, that's what I've said. Like, I've seen the lists. Mhm. I don't think an isolated incident that you're taking out of context historically stacks up. Do you understand how that works? One instance in which I completely have to warp my mind around your singular written instance in which a child had a diary versus, I don't know, 30 plus little boys and girls that DJT had to pay into the millions each. I don't think that I don't think those things are even equal. They're not even on the same fucking planet. Right. They absolutely must defend Dotard at all costs. They must defend him. They cannot say he's like a horrible person, indefensible. Exactly. Look at you. Look at you being a bootlicker. Tough. Tough for you. Blocked. So yeah, here we don't let that fuck shit. Let on with that fuck shit. Anyway, war, what is it good for is how we open. Okay. Because absolutely nothing is the fucking answer. But yeah, if you wondered why, what lengths would someone go to protect that information from getting out? Yeah, right. What lengths would someone go to protect that information out? You would go so far as to take dark money from Russia, use dark money from Russia to build your empire to the point where you decide you've got enough clout to run for office and become president of the United States. And then all you got to do is gaslight the entire country into thinking that something was wrong in the 2020 US election. And what did they do? They gaslit the fuck out of us for the last 4 years and said that the results of the called into question the results of the 2020 US election. For the record, the same investigation that I've been begging for from the 2020 US election to the 2024 US election, it didn't find any fraud. And it only eliminated like 5,000 people's fucking votes, legitimate votes, in Donald Trump's favor. So congratulations, Don. In 2020, 63 lawsuits yielded one victory and about 5,000 actual eligible voters' votes getting discounted in an election he lost by 7 million. Hollister, we had a week-long ban for talking about how Elon Musk had a botched surgery. You get what I'm saying? He tried to get a goddamn baby arm implanted and it did not go well. People always make fun of him. No, I'm not doing all that shit. I'll just eat the ban. That's the way I do it. I'll peel it. And as long as it's like a week or less, I'm good. So if there's anything I've learned from this administration, you can't hide anything. You can only hope to do that. You can't you can't actually hide anything. You're just gonna have to be your real authentic self for the world to fucking see. You can try to live a quiet life, but the trouble with living a quiet life is you get run over. So you might as well speak out and speak up. Make sure you follow me on YouTube. Go up to my profile, make sure you subscribe, and then make sure you click the link and go follow me on YouTube. If I get to 2,000 followers, I'll start streaming myself playing video games. I'm just, that's a threat of violence. Somebody just threatened violence. What's YouTube, right? Yeah, it's the platform I can stream off of when TikTok doesn't like us, right? But yeah, so we got 65 people in here. I'm gonna talk my shit before we go. My name is Jared. I host the daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Monday through Friday, we go from 8 a.m. Eastern to about 9:30. Okay. On the weekends, okay, we're an hour later typically. So after 9 a.m. to a little after 10:30. Okay. I'm the founder of the American Socialist Party. Again, my name is Jared. I'm the founder of the American Socialist Party. You can start looking it up, start following it on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on Facebook. I made a group. Okay. I am in the process. I would have been fundraising with the intent of starting the American Socialist Party, needing to raise $1,000. If I hadn't gotten a job, if I hadn't if we protest hadn't started, right? And so what I'm in the process of doing now is waiting until I have the income personally to go ahead and put $1,000 into an account, start an account so that the money is clean. That's it. That's it. I could absolutely be fundraising. It's a little early for that. Me wait till we have a tax ID and a bank account and I put up the initial money to get us legitimacy and then we already have it. Once you have a tax ID, a fucking bank account, and you've raised $1,000, congratulations, you're a political party. Okay. So you're more than welcome to Google American Socialist Party. Okay. And what I'd encourage you to do is you could take my content, cut it up, put it on social media. I give you permission, especially when I tell you what the definition of socialism is here before we go. Socialism is any and again, I'm not reading this. Look, 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 look. I know it looks like all I can see is myself, but this is my video feed on YouTube. That's the chat room for TikTok with bigger print, right? That's not for looking at myself. Basically, I'm saying I'm not reading anything. Okay. Um, Socialism is any egalitarian. And when we talk about what is egalitarian, to break that down Barney style, pro equality. So, kind of the opposite of the current administration, where they're trying to get rid of DEI programs. I will only do business with people who have DEI programs. Um, and also being very pro union. So, I'm a syndicalist socialist, which means I believe in the power of unions. And I think who would make excellent political leaders? And I would say someone who's in the American Socialist Party, who's also a union leader. Why? Because a union leader's job is to get better pay and benefits by negotiation, by means of negotiation. And so, if I want Americans to have universal health care, education, income, and housing, who best should represent that other than a socialist that's a former union leader, right? And if you're in a union, or if you're in an industry that has a union, yeah, inferior products. Hold on. There's a conversation we can have. What products does the United States produce that are the best in their field and unrivaled the world over? TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. What does the United States produce that cannot be produced at a better rate the world over? TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. You don't have an answer. There's nothing that the United States produces that it leads the world in other than fucking entertainment. The NFL, the NBA and NCAA football and basketball, sports, particularly the distribution of basketball and football. Those are what we lead the world in. Entertainment, nothing else. So when you say that we have that these other socialist countries produce inferior products, those were your words. Inferior to whom? Inferior to whom? Because it sure as fuck isn't us. I'm a socialist because I don't believe that capitalism works. Based on quality standards, thank you. That doesn't answer the question. That took you that long to type that. This isn't a conversation. Okay. Okay. I'm a socialist because capitalism is a failure. Why is capitalism an abject failure? Consider that DoorDash will now let you finance your fucking meal. Is that a society that you want to live in? Where people pay 4 payments for their fucking dinner for their family? Is that the world that you want to live in? Too many people think DoorDash allowing you to finance your fucking meal is a good thing and it benefits poor people. No, that's violence. That is a form of abject violence. So I reject the notion of capitalism. I want socialism. I want pro equality, pro union, anything anything that has to do with the seizing of means of production, the social ownership of business. All this means, think of it in framework of from a union perspective. What a union could do, for example, with Tesla. Tesla stock is fucking tanking. There's nothing you can do about this. Tesla's going downhill hardcore. Okay? But what a socialist would do is go to the union, the Tesla union, and tell all those people, those employees, go buy that stock. Rise up and own Tesla as a unit, as the union. That would be the social ownership of business through a union, which is syndicalism. So you talk about seizing the means of production, social ownership of business. That's two birds, one stone. I figured it out for you. I made it palatable for you. I made it, you can eat that. Most people are pro equality. Way over half of all people are like, fuck yeah, I don't want people getting schmurdered for their fucking religious beliefs, right? I don't want them, you know. So socialism is any egalitarian pro-equality social, economic, or political theory, okay, concerning seizing the means of production, social ownership of business, okay. I'm a proponent of universal health care, education, income, and housing. Well, a lot of people don't understand that socialism is built into our society here in the United States, and many of the successful countries in the world are largely socialist. Our democracy is a social democracy. Lets you finance your food. Yeah, that's that's the violence of the capitalistic system in Oh, an employee-owned business. I thought you were talking about them letting you finance your fucking food. I was like, a Wawa sub? I didn't think they were that out of pocket. I thought they were like 8 to 12. Yeah, it was a co-op. Yeah. And see, understand, so much of the things that you like about society is socialist in nature. For example, like a national park. That's socialist as fuck. Where you come from a small town, you got a volunteer fire department, socialist as fuck. Anything for the people by the people is inherently socialist. Unemployment, socialist. Medicare, Medicaid, socialist. See, you accept socialist things within your life and refuse to enjoy them. And that's because socialism has been sold to you as some like super evil thing when in my opinion, socialism's just being held back by the media. They've chopped it up as some evil fucking thing. Roads. Yeah, universal healthcare, education, income, and housing. The socialist economic theory suggests that rent, income, and taxes are derivative of your labor and need to be limited or eliminated altogether. I can fucking get behind that. I'm a fucking homeowner. I don't give a shit about rent, but I want your rent to not be backbreaking. And the reality is, I talk to people all day, every day, except Sunday and Tuesday, that their rent is crushing them. And it's keep in mind your rent when you go to be a homeowner is supposed to be less than 30% of your income. And I see people spending 70% of 75% of their income on rent. I think that you need rent control. I think that your rent should be the same way your student loans work, based on your income, as long as you're an IBR. Some people should pay more. Most people should pay less, though. That's the society we live in. Remember, remember when I tell you most people don't have it together. Most people are on the verge of collapse. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. Most people are having to choose between medicine that they need and food for the week or the month or until their next paycheck. And I'm saying we don't have to live in that system. I founded the American Socialist Party. You can contact AOC, contact Bernie Sanders, and tell them Jared Malott lives in Indianapolis, Indiana, founded the American Socialist Party. We even have a hand drawn logo drawn by one of our early ardent supporters. I host a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And every show, we talk about socialism. We talk about how it doesn't have to be this way. Your life won't change that much if your neighbor can fucking feed himself. I'm just letting you know. You will never know. And know that they've already done this. They gave 500 families $500 every Friday for 2 years. And do you know what that $2,000 a month did for 42% of those families? It allowed them to dream. It allowed them to, you can just look for my name, Jared Malat. It's right, that's my actual name. It's not a pen name. That's who I am. Okay? You can find me on Blue Sky. I don't, I'm not a serial social media user. I was mostly a lurker. Skip. But yeah, that program, 42% of households got married, had a baby, bought a house, or got a degree. 42%. Hey, I don't know about you. I believe I'm a big math guy. Math always kind of came to me easily. And one of the things I learned is like the law of big numbers. Okay. 42% is a fucking huge number. Yeah? That's two out of every five, right? That's a pretty considerable, you think five houses on a block, right? Two of those houses produced either a person, a bond, purchased land, or got a degree. What are the four things that we have to have in order for civil society to continue? Housed people, right? We have to turn people into homeowners. Housed people, right? You got to put money in their fucking pocket. You got to make people not grind so goddamn hard for so little. That's what we really got to do. Yeah, stop grinding people so hard. Basing how you feel on someone based on how much they are able to produce. Because we're not all the fucking same. And understand what this administration has done since it has come into office is attack people who can't stick up for them fucking selves. The trans community, which is the smallest demographic, right? In terms of number of people, percentage of the population, it's about 1.5% of the population. Veterans, another small group of the population. The elderly. And then their problem, I think the biggest problem that the current administration has is their persecution of the poor. And the way they treat poor people will ultimately be the destruction of the modern political system, the two-party system we live in, where they tell us that we can have democracy if we vote, but that's not fucking true. Seen in evidence by this election that we just have gone through. And I want to point out that the Office of the Department of National Intelligence never gave an all clear on this election. That Executive Order 13848 and the results of that investigation have never been made public, and that they should, and I believe they will, at one point, be made public, and we will know beyond a shadow of a doubt. So people keep asking me about Election Truth Alliance and all those things. Hey, snap out of it. Until something comes out from the Executive Order 13848, it doesn't mean anything until there are indictments. And I think that the prior administration knew that Donald Trump was going to go after these agencies and that he was going to push them to a point where they don't have a choice but to out him. And that ultimately what he's done so far has largely all been illegal. None of it is going to happen. And I'm telling you, when it costs people, when it costs people, you'll see movement. And I'm talking about people muerte, not just decide they're not going to support it anymore. Okay? And right now, people are just sad and stressed out and fucking angry, right? And they're protesting, right? And all those rich motherfuckers that bought this election are losing their whole asshole. So keep fucking going. Keep fucking going. And know, again, if anything, I hope I motivate the fuck out of you. Hey, Elon Musk has lost almost $1 trillion in 4 months. Nothing you will ever do in your whole motherfucking life, no mistake you'll ever make will be that big. Go do it. You know that song that we were listening to for a fucking while by Zendaya's Fire? Go, go, do it. Go, do it. Seriously, go do it. You can't possibly fail on, on the same planet that Elon Musk failed. I'm more motivated than ever to establish the American Socialist Party. If we can have that dumb of motherfuckers lose $1 trillion fucking dollars. Oh, they ain't got no money. Understand they're broke. They broke themselves to get there. And it's only gonna break them completely. Remember that Elon Musk leveraged Tesla stock to buy Twitter. The Tesla stock can only go so far before they recall the loan that he got to buy Twitter. And that ultimately Twitter is the target, not Tesla. For the record, Tesla, Teslur, Tesla. You could put a little accent over the E to make it fun. And then just make sure that you flip the Tesla logo upside down. It's a skate hat if you flip the Tesla logo upside down. So if you ever wondered what would be a great sign, how about boycott Tesla and it's Teslur and you just flip the Tesla logo upside down and oh, what do you know? It's a KKK hat. Hey, I think that we might be onto something. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to capitalize on it. Did you see I'm not a capitalist? Did you see I just didn't say, oh, there's a link in my bio. Go buy my merch. 'Cause I'm not a fucking capitalist. That shit doesn't work. Give it away. Send me one if you would. Somebody wants to make me a Tesla shirt, boycott Tesla shirt. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate you all. Look at us going for 2 full hours and not getting banned or restricted one time. That's the bots take a day off on Sunday, huh? Go fucking figure. See y'all. Have a good day. Go follow my. Listen, I only needed like 30 people to go to my YouTube channel and follow. What? I'm getting out of here. I'm before I get trouble reading the comments. Thank God that was hidden.